I'm going to be repotting my Dracaena here that I got from my friend. Stick around if you guys want to just hang out and have me repot while I yap away. I always have to get reoriented with these things. Alrighty, hi guys, we're in my backyard slash greenhouse. I've got some additions. The jacarandas are doing great, but this video isn't about that. I'm going to be repotting my Dracaena here that I got from my friend. She is in this large pot and she is in need of a repot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide her. So I'm going to move her from this pot into these clear pots here. These are about 7-inch clear pots. I want to take a look at the roots as they grow because Dracaenas are slow growers. So we're going to take care of that. All right, so hopefully this angle works. I'll move the camera on as I need to, but you guys can see the pots here. My mic is shifting around because of my top, so I'm just going to hold it in my hand. We're going to use these two, maybe shift the camera. That's better. Give you guys a nice view of the goods too with my jacarandas here. All right, let me get this beastie. So a quick backstory as I'm getting the plant. My friend's family member worked at a restaurant and they were redoing the landscaping. Well, not landscaping inside, but they were redoing the greenery inside the restaurant. And she reached out to me and said, hey, I've got some plants that the family member didn't want. And she wanted to know if you wanted this Dracaena. And I was like, that's not a question. I'm gonna take the plant. If you guys are curious, Dracaenas are very easy to care for plants. This one's been getting a little bit too much light. She's been in my greenhouse under this spot, but the plant itself has been growing inside of the restaurant, so she's not used to this much light. So she's been struggling a bit. She's been starting to brown. Hear that crispiness? So it's time to repot or separate her. One thing with Dracaenas is a lot of times when you see like a bushy plant like this with multiple stems, it's actually a bunch of different plants. With Dracaenas, to create like this bushy look, you gotta take multiple plants, you prune them, and then you wait some time, and then they'll grow these different looks here. Hopefully you can see. They'll grow different stalks and stems. Like you have this one here. She's got multiple stems here. So you chop the top, and then if you give it a good amount of light, you'll get 2 and sometimes 3 growths. And then these grow bushier, and you get this beautiful look. So with this one, she's got 4. So we're gonna just take 2 and 2, put them into the pots, and go from there. Let's take a look at these roots to see what we're working with. I think this is a good spot for you guys, and then I'll bring you into a close-up so you guys can see what we're working with. Like I did with my snake plant. You guys like that video? I'll link it below if you guys like to just watch repots, me and plants. Alrighty, so let's kind of just tip her over. She does have charcoal at the base, so we'll see what's going on here. Let me just pull her back, and you guys can see me. Oh yeah, she's root bound. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Look at those roots. You guys like some root porn? Here you go. Definitely root bound. Those roots are taking the shape of the base of the pot, so we need to repot. This should make the repot process pretty easy though, so there, you guys can see that. I gotta lean over, so if you guys hear like some weird sounds, it's me shifting around. Oh, we're just gonna loosen. This is very loose soil. There's a lot of charcoal in this mix, and these are fertilizer pellets. If you guys are always ever wonder what these little round balls are, they're like slow release fertilizer, which is great if you're gonna use like charcoal or soil that's doesn't have nutrients like cocoa, which I like to use as a base, always add either liquid fertilizer when you water or a nice liquid, a slow release fertilizer. This is really nice soil. It's literally just charcoal. So I'm just holding on to these stems for support, and I'm just slowly gonna loosen this up. Hopefully you guys are not missing out. There we go. In my backyard, just doing stuff. I do like this fake turf that we put down. Makes it easier to also retain moisture. So if you guys ever need ideas for, like, if you have a lot of dirt in your backyard and you don't have grass or you can't grow it, put down a layer of this turf. It lets drainage through, water through, but it also helps with retaining moisture. So just be more careful as I separate these. Let me pull you guys away because I'm starting to hit my jacarandas over here. That's better. Oh, it's much better. Now I can get close up. I've got this stool I'm working with, so my mic keeps hitting my face. So sorry guys if you hear me cut in and out. Alright, so as we keep separating, we've got some nice thick roots here, so not worried about it. Cleanup is going to be a little frustrating, but that's okay. And with Dracaenas, as always, they are used to drier climates, so let the roots dry out completely between waterings and then let them get a good heavy soak when you water, so that you're not suscepting them to root rot, because you see how thin some of these roots can be. They're pretty delicate if you're not too careful with it, but we have a lot of roots to work with, which is great. But see how loose this stuff is? It's pretty much charcoal. Not mad about it. Let's see. Start taking one apart. We'll see. This works. I gotta sit down. I'm trying to get a bit of a cramp on my calf. Ah! Alright, that's better. I'm keeping one hand free so that I can access things if I need to. Trying to get this one to loosen up and then I can repot them. They're not hard to repot. And the thing with your plants, don't freak out about like loosening up the roots a bit aggressively. It's not going to damage the plant. It's just important to get enough of a root system. And you can see this piece here I'm pulling up. She already has a good enough of a root system that by herself she'll be fine. See, here she comes. So this I think is the biggest of the four. Yeah, just gently. There we go. We got one loosened. I'm not going to fully agitate the root ball. Look at these. Aren't they beautiful? I usually think orange is a good sign for Dracaena. Same thing with snake plants. Alright, so we got one. Let me just do a little bit of acrobatics here. Alright, so we have this one on the side for now. Let's do the others. This is literally me just repotting. There we go. Dracaenas are pretty easy to propagate too. You just do a cutting and wait. And then prop your stem into water. I tried doing a stem cutting in moss. It was not successful. I think there was just too much humidity over time and the stem rotted. So use water propagation, I would say, and I would say definitely use a rooting hormone to encourage better root growth much more quickly. I do use the prop drops myself. I'll link those below if you guys are interested. I've had great success with them. They're just liquid rooting hormone. A few drops. The bottle tells you proportions per ounce. So let's see. I wonder if these are stuck together. No, they're coming apart. Yeah, this is definitely more lava with a little bit of potting soil, I would say. Definitely great if you're keeping this plant indoors, because when you're growing plants indoors, it's even more important, especially if they're exposed to dimmer light like these Dracaena are. They're lower light plants, not that they'll thrive in lower light, they'll survive. You want to have excellent drainage in your plants that are in dimmer conditions, because it takes longer for your soil to dry out, your medium, and if you do not allow for the right amount of drainage and air to flow through, you suscept these plants to root rot very easily. So do not be afraid to chunk up the soil if you are keeping a plant in a dimmer space. But of course, remember, be mindful that your plant can handle lower light conditions. If you're going to move a plant from bright light to dim light, transition it slowly. Do not just shift it over, because then you're going to shock the plant. It'll drop leaves. Plants like ficus will easily tell you if they do not like be moved. I had what do you call it? A ficus burgundy. They've got those deep, almost black leaves and they're very contrasted with the red growth tips. I moved them maybe 4 feet from the window and she dropped her lower leaves. Yeah, so be mindful of that. So I would say the slow transition, maybe once a month. Just move it a foot away from the location. It will take time, but if you want to limit shock to your plant almost completely, do a slow transition. If you don't care, just shift her over and give it time to adjust. Here's another one. See? Much smaller root system. So what I repot them, I've been adding the prop drops to my, gently pull this away, to my watering can so that there's additional root hormone in the water and in the soil to help ease the repot adjustment for the plant. All right, so we have 4. This one, look at those gorgeous roots. Excellent. You see all these little ones? I'm not worried about it. This is another one. Definitely. They've all got 2 I can't speak. They've all got 2 growths on each stem, which is great. Oh, this one actually has 3, which is great. She's got a fluffier look. So now comes the how do you organize them, right? So I'm going to put the 2 taller ones together because I want them to kind of be more like a tree ornamental space. And then the smaller ones together, and I can put them like on a tabletop or something, maybe outside. All right. I did already hose her down the other day, so I'm not worried about it. So let me get all this mix out of the way. I'll cut it out unless you guys just want to see the satisfaction of me cleaning as much of this as possible. Actually could reuse a good portion of this stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it dry out, and then I'm going to flush it because it literally is charcoal. So it is a nice aeration medium. So amendment, we're going to save it and we can mix it in with our other soils. So perlite, charcoal, pumice, bark, vermiculite, those are all different types of amendments that you add to your soils to chunk them up. They help with drainage, things like that. So You hear a lot about chunky mixes, and you're like, what does that mean? It's just adding more um, gaps and spaces into your medium so that your soil can have the right drainage. Because again, indoors, you have a pot and a catcher most of the time. Water is not going to go anywhere. In the soil, the water just keeps going down the water table, right, into the soil deeper and deeper. Here, you don't have that option. So if you have drainage, it'll flow down, and then you gotta just dump out the excess after a few minutes. What am I gonna use for my soil mix? So in this bin, I have a mix of cocoa coir, fine pumice, and bark. And I did throw in a little bit of 10-10-10 slow release fertilizer because again, cocoa does not have any natural nutrients, so you gotta supplement your mix with something. So you got your cocoa, it's pretty loomy. You got the little white sparkles are the pumice. You got the chunks, and then the tiny flecks are the fertilizer. And this is a pretty concentrated fertilizer, so I just put in a slight sprinkle, and then you can easily tell if your fertilizer is too harsh on your plants. If you start seeing like fertilizer burn on your leaves, they might look like, it could look like browning tips, but sometimes it's got like this lighter brown tone to it. All right, so the repot's usually pretty easy. You just gotta space your plants. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is the weight of the two taller ones. That might suffer a bit, but these are the ones I found on Amazon. So I'll link these two. These have been great for my jacarandas because I can see all the root growth and everything. All right, so we're gonna take, let's say, half the pot. Say about, let's see what our smaller babes look like here. Think, oh, here she, I can't tell sizing these days. Let's see, these two. I'm going to use these little ones here. Yeah, these are the smaller ones. These two are going to go in here. And Dracaenas don't mind being crowded. If anything, they prefer being a little root bound. So don't freak out that you're seeing way too much roots in your plant. If anything, that will help them stabilize a little better. And this is perfect because I'm going to fill it up till about here, the lip, because that's where the soil used to be before. So I'm just going to use my hand. And then always remember to shimmy your soil. And because this is very spongy and airy, I'm going to have to water. And then she's going to compact a bit. And then we'll go back. And then we'll let that soil settle. Because you see how she kind of tips around? She's going to need support for a while. Maybe I'll add like a something. Don't be afraid to pack it in too. That's the thing too, you can see gaps if you use cocoa or like clear pots, I mean, so always give your pots a spank so that they will settle in the soil properly. Okay. It's good for now, and then I will water them on the side. The other two I'm more worried about. You know what? Let's water these first. All right, so what I'm first going to do is water with my hose and then let the cocoa settle. Look at that water going down. And then I'm going to come back and water again. The cocoa is really good at retaining moisture, and then once it has what it has, it will release the excess. And here's where I'll just adjust and press down like that. See? That's why you have the amendments in there too, to add those gaps. But again, when your plant gets top heavy, You gotta support it at some point, so we'll see. I think that should be good. Yeah, she won't give me too much of an issue. Now let's do this other gal. She's gonna be our challenge. Just at some point, just gotta use your hands, you know? I'm gonna do a little bit less of the soil at the base for these because they need a little more support. Like that. And she has smaller roots, this one, so this is gonna be fun. Here comes the challenge. Nah, she's actually pretty wide, so just that alone will give her a nice support like that. See? Isn't that nice when they fit just about right? Alright, so use my hands. I made this mix this morning. I bought the bricks online. They came, this is just one brick. You get a lot of use of cocoa from their bricks, so definitely a very usable substrate. Alternative to peat, I prefer. It's more sustainable than peat because peat you have to harvest from like wetlands and swamps over time, and they can deplete an environment. And I wouldn't want to do that over time if it means I have to deplete an environment for the sake of having a medium for my plants, and I deny animals, you know. But that's just me. If you guys want to use peat, by all means, that is your choice. And I'm not going to worry about like X roots being revealed or anything. Like the moisture will be enough. Let's not fret. I'm supporting her from the top as I'm watering her to here. You can see that water kind of trickle through. I love that effect. It's so sexy, huh? Nice heavy watering. Like that. Let it drain out. Make sure there's nice support. Yeah, it's pretty good. I might have to add another layer. We'll see. Yeah, she needs more because her, if I flip her around, you can see that large root is exposed. So, and that should be great because she actually needs the extra support from the medium. So let's do that. So what do you guys like to use for your plants? What types of mediums? Potting soil because it's easier for you? Do you guys have anything you don't like to work with when you're doing plants? Everyone has different preferences, and I know I'm curious. Actually, that should be pretty good. It's gonna be a heavy pot, which is great. Just kind of push it down a skosh. Excellent. She's gonna be very happy. Yeah. Good drainage, huh? Again, I'm not worried about these roots. She's got plenty of roots. I'm just wanna tap it down a bit. Perfect. All right. The one thing that could happen is they're so tall that the wind will knock them down. So this is why this is good to have indoors. Here's what we're working with now. They've both been repotted. You can see the excess is draining out slowly. We got this smaller one here, and then the tall one on this side. Working with a tripod in my hand and cocoa fingers and all that, it's not fun, but let's do our last step, which we're going to use the prop drops. Alrighty, so I'm back. I had to go get the goods. So these are the prop drops I used at Market Botany. I'll link them below if you guys are interested. Directions are pretty easy. These are just liquid rooting hormone, like I said before. I got this watering can here. I'm out of breath because I've been moving the plants around. So we're just going to put some water in here. Let's see, about 2 cups, so 16 ounces. We're going to do 6 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Give it a quick mix. Ah! Y'all see that? That's why these are better indoors. If you guys heard that, my big Dracaena just fell over, but that's okay. These are repot issues when you have these tall, narrow plants like that. I'm doing this off camera, so don't know if you guys can see. Oh yeah, you can kind of see my shadow, but it's okay. All right, so now that that's been corrected, it's never clean when you repot. All right, so we're gonna do this hefty one first. Just move you guys over here. You guys can see. Just shift you up a bit. There you go. Just take my watering can and just water her a bit more. And yeah, a lot of this will drain through, but the point is to like let it sit at the roots. And that's fine. Don't worry. The whole point of this is to let it sit. Some of the hormone will sit in the soil, the cocoa, and then that will help. Yeah, so you can see how great the cocoa is. Like once it has what it has, it lets go of the rest. So, all right. Yeah, she's the tricky one. Here's the other one. Another flooding for her. I got this water can at the 99-cent store before they closed down. Rest in peace. All right, that's it. Let those drain out, and then I'm gonna take them to their final home. All right, that's about it, guys. A quick repot. We went ahead and used we took the 4-stemmed Dracaena, divided her. We have a pot with the 2 shorter ones on one side, and then we have this one with the 2 taller ones that I have to be cautious with because of their weight. They're going to go into their new homes. I'm using a coco coir pumice bark mixed with like a 10-10-10 slow release fertilizer for my soil. And then for the water, I just added extra prop drops to help with encouraging additional root growth, because the better root structure these plants have, the less likely they are to topple over. But all right, we'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.